there will be very little people she has to explain herself to, and everyone else is really none of their business. Kim here, homeschooling mom to 4 and chaos coordinator since 2009. I have a 7th grader, a 2nd grader, a kindergartner, and a toddler that keeps things interesting. We've made some big decisions here in the last couple days about our schooling. You know, our kindergartner is a late May birthday. It dawned on me recently that she, although is at a 4th grade reading level, can stand out and write sentences on par with math. Her maturity level is just not there, and she is struggling with the executive function, or the first I do this, then I do this, then I do this part of schooling. A friend of mine said a few years ago that her son was really young for his grade, and she regrets putting him in early because she kind of likes him, and now she's getting one less year with him at home because he's young for his grade. Had she held him back, he'd be old. I've also heard teachers say that everything balances out by like 3rd, 4th grade, which is very true. Looking back on my other May birthday child, she really struggled her kindergarten and 1st grade year, maturity-wise, figuring out how to get things in order and following the routines, and now she's fine. My kindergartner, you know, we're almost in February now into the school year, in week 19. She still has a real hard time getting started, and then when she started, transitioning is extremely difficult, to the point where I still have to sit next to her to get her to complete her work that she can do on her own. I'm very much a fan of independent learning, and her schoolwork does not take very long. If she sits with me, we can be done in 30, 45 minutes max, and that's with distractions and transitions. My husband and I agreed that we're going to do kindergarten again with her next year. I'm not going to do the same curriculum. There's actually, Sunlight came out with a kindergarten curriculum a couple years ago, and I've been dying to look at it, and I haven't allowed myself to because we didn't need it, but I'm going to allow myself to now, and so she'll have a whole new curriculum, brand new. So it's still going to be challenging for her, but she also gets to be a kid a little bit longer. I think this kindergarten year was probably a little too challenging for her, considering where she was at as far as inference. There was a lot of inference in the curriculum I had, and it worked great for our current 2nd grader. It was just a little bit too much, since she is a young kindergartner and her older sister was an old kindergartner. And while we were deciding that, I looked at my 7th grader and I said, you know, as bright as she is, I am looking at how many years left I have with her. It's part mama bear, but also just knowing my child's maturity, and we're not going to hold her back. And I discussed it with her. I asked her if she'd like to extend and do a very slow 8th grade. I don't know exactly what that'll look like yet. Editor Kim here. We've had a little time to think about this. Essentially, it's going to look like slowing down a lot on literature and science, leaning heavily into things like archery and art and technology, which are things that she has wanted to get into for a while anyway. And then, as she pointed out, because she really does struggle with math, she said, oh, I'll be caught up with math, meaning on level with her grade, because that is an area she struggles in. And I said, that's right. Day to day, it's not going to be any different from her. And if you think about it, most people just ask, well, how's school? What grade are you in now? Very few people keep track of what grade you're in unless they had a kid with you. So there will be very little people she has to explain herself to, and everyone else is really none of their business. And then I get an extra year at home with her. She also has ADHD, and one thing that comes with ADHD is their maturity level is a couple years younger than their biological age. I think it's 20%. I will feel much more comfortable sending her into the world. 2nd grader, I think she is right on target. So how to know when this is something that you should consider for your kids? I haven't explored it and how I will do it legally. I don't know if there's something I have to do with the system. But 2 things to consider. One is their maturity. It's fun to say, hey, my kid is so bright for being so young. That's kind of a token that us parents like to do. Upon more reflection, I remembered one of the reasons why we decided to put our oldest into kindergarten when we did. It was purely a financial decision, because it was cheaper to send her to school than to have another year of preschool. If you're able to, and you're homeschooling, consider the maturity level honestly. Would you like to have one extra year with them at home to really guide them and teach them in those formative years? Also, academically, I have a couple friends whose children are bright, but it's a struggle to get the work done. They can get it, but it's just a concerted effort. Like my kindergartner, in my opinion, schooling should be challenging but not stressful. We should be fostering lifelong learners. We don't want to make schooling so overwhelming for them that they feel stupid. it's like anything in moderation. You don't want to challenge your kids too much. They need to have some victories. You want them to feel confident in something. And I'm really excited. It's almost like a weight off my shoulders. Logically, I can't see a reason not to. Also, it just kind of makes sense. And anyone I've talked to that knows the girls, they agree. They're like, yeah, that totally makes sense. So anyway, let me know if you have any questions or thoughts. I'm also always open to criticism and what this will mean for my kids. Remember, it is okay to make mistakes. The important part is to learn from them. God bless.